Hello Year 7, welcome to your third history lesson on our big question, how have migrants changed Britain? Remember that's our theme for this new topic and it's the one we're going to be looking at in more detail today. Our title today is Were the Vikings murderous invaders or peaceful settlers? Could you please write down that title and a date, either in your history book, on a piece of paper, or if you're typing it, then on a Word document. Then could you write our two keywords for today? The first one, which is Danelaw, and could you write down not just the word but also the definition? So the Danelaw, the areas of Anglo-Saxon England where the Vikings lived that followed Viking laws and customs. And our second keyword for today, which is Viking raids, which were small hit-and-run raids aimed to loot and carry away plunder, so treasure, gold, money, people, property, from about AD 793 to AD 865. Could you pause the video and do those things, please? Now you've written down our title and keywords, quick connect, 4 questions. Please answer these in full sentences, and again pause the video if you need to and go back to the other videos, lessons 1 and 2 if you're really stuck. Now we're making really good progress on our timeline of migration to Britain. We've done now the first 3 events on our timeline, and today we're going to focus on our 4th event on the timeline, which is AD 800, where the Viking raids begin in England, leading to the creation of the Danelaw. So that 4th box on our timeline. Now, first things first, we need to know who were the Vikings. And I'm going to read this little bit of text on your screen now, and then you're going to answer the question at the bottom in bold by writing an explaining sentence. So let me read this for you. The Vikings were different groups of people who came from the modern day countries of Denmark, Norway and Sweden. Life at home was often very hard, with too many people and not enough land. It's possible that merchants who traded with the Anglo-Saxons returned home to the Viking homelands and spoke of the fertile lands and riches to the west. The Vikings were highly effective sailors. Their ships used a combination of sails and oars, allowing them to travel long distances. They were also able to navigate rivers that were too shallow for most ships, allowing them to penetrate deep inland where people least expected it. And you can see an example of the boat just in the background of this slide as well. So, what do you think will make the Vikings effective raiders? All the answers are in that bit of text that I've just read. Can you pause the video and write an explaining sentence now? Now, here's a bit of reading which I'm going to let you do on your own. So Lindisfarne, the story of a Viking raid. Could you read the story all the way through? And maybe if there's any words that you're struggling with, write them down and you can search them later on Google or in a dictionary. But pause the video now and read this story of a Viking raid on Lindisfarne. Now you've read that story, if you'd like to, then you can watch a clip of someone who has animated that story. So Lindisfarne was a real event that happened, and someone on YouTube has put together an animation of that. So you can kind of see how that's been reconstructed, recreated from the event that really happened. If you've not decided to do that, that's okay. But if you have watched it, then you can move on to this next part where you look at all the accounts, so the stories that we've read on the previous slide, and then these 2 sources, source A and source B. Looking at these things, could you answer questions 1 and question 2, summarising what happened at Lindisfarne and in as much detail as possible? you could make it into an account with a beginning, a middle and an end, just like a good story. And explain so far, the second question, do you think the Vikings have been peaceful or violent migrators? So pause the video and complete those tasks now, please. The Viking invasion. Again, this time I'm going to get you to read the text because I'm a little bit sick of my own voice. The Viking invasion, read the text, and then in bold at the bottom I'll read the question for you. Can you answer in a full sentence, do you still think the Vikings were raiders or were they more like peaceful settlers? Explain what you think using the text to help you. Pause the video and have a go at that, please. Now, this would be kind of our main task, our demonstrate task, this slide and the next. First thing we need to do, we're going to think, how great was Alfred? He's often referred to as Alfred the Great of England, King of England. And you've got several different boxes on this slide. What I'd like you to do is you might want to make a table, and you have on one side of that table great, and on the other side of that table not great. Those can be your two subheadings. And then you can see I've done a few for you. Go through each box and put it, is this box saying that Alfred really was a great king? Or is it starting to suggest, no, maybe he wasn't as great as everyone thought? So two examples, look at the very top, that green box that says born in 849 AD and he had 4 older brothers. Now I've said that means he's not that great. And I haven't got anything against the youngest siblings, even though I'm an oldest sibling myself. But in that society, the younger siblings generally wouldn't inherit that much. They wouldn't become king and so on. So this one is suggesting actually he had 4 older brothers. He's not that great. He's not that important. But then if you look just underneath that one, the box in blue, I've highlighted another box saying in 870 AD he fought 9 battles against the Vikings. That's a lot of battles, and yet he survived. So that suggests that he was great. I've done a few more, but as you can see there's many that I haven't yet done. So that's up to you to read and put into your table. So pause the video and spend a bit of time completing that task, please. Now, almost at the end, our demonstrate task. How great was Alfred? King Alfred was thought to be a great king by many. In 887 AD, Alfred began to translate books from Latin to English. This made Alfred great because many people didn't understand Latin and they couldn't even read. Now monks and some others could read the English translations and then teach others. Therefore, people thought he educated the English to make them more knowledgeable. This makes this period less of a dark age. What I would like you to do is, using the previous slide where you've made your table with different bits of evidence, I'd like you to write your own paragraph. Now I've given you a few sentences to help you think through how to do this. You're going to write me one short paragraph telling me why many people might have thought Alfred was great. Another short paragraph about why many people might have thought Alfred wasn't that great. And then just a sentence or so, a short conclusion. What do you think? What's your opinion? And what do you think is the best bit of evidence to back up what you think? So pause the video and complete that final task for me. Consolidate. What I'd like you to do is just either think of the answers or write down just kind of a one-word answer on this slide. This will just check how much you remember from this lesson. You might want to have someone at home test you on this. You might want to test each other, but you can just write down or think of those answers, numbers 1 to 5, and that concludes our final part of our lesson 3.